This is Mary Kay DeCourcy. I'm the chair of the Auburn Public Library Board of Trustees, and I'm calling our meeting to order at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. This is an open hybrid meeting of the Auburn Public Library Board of Trustees. It's being recorded by Auburn Public Library in the Auburn Public Library Merriam Room. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cablevision. Is anyone else recording this meeting? The agenda for this meeting was posted on the Auburn Town website on Monday, February 3rd. That included the link and the dial-up information to access this meeting remotely. Permit me to confirm that members of this body and persons anticipated on this agenda are present. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Matt Toth?
Present.
Present by remote. Erica Breesacker? Not present. Vera Corain?
Present.
Nan Johnson?
Yes.
Lindsay Baker?
Present.
And I'm Mary DeCourcy. And present. Town employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Michael Zeller, Auburn Public Library Director?
Present.
Excellent. So we're going to start the meeting. Before we move to the minutes, I have to say, we don't have minutes right now. Erica Breesacker is in charge of that, so we don't have that. We have to table that for right now. But before we move to the public comment, I just want to say what a wonderful opportunity to start a new year with a whole new board and a new library director. It's my expectation in this meeting space that it will be safe for everyone and everyone will feel free to express themselves, and we look forward to working together. Do we have anybody for any open comment? Public comment, excuse me. No one's here. Okay, very good. So I would like Michael Zeller, our new library director, to introduce himself, and he is going to bring us through an agenda filled with things that he's prepared us for.
Sure. Well, thank you all for such a warm welcome. It's really lovely to be here. As Mary said, I'm Mike Zeller. I'm the new library director here in Auburn. I have just under 20 years experience in public libraries. I previously came from the Shrewsbury Public Library, where I started off as kind of their IT librarian, and then moved on to be their assistant director for several years. And I'm just really thrilled to be here. There's seems to be a lot of real energy. It's a great staff, one of whom is over there. I'm really excited and looking forward to my time here.
Welcome. Awesome.
Well, we're pretty happy to have you here too, Michael.
Yes, we are.
Thanks. Thank you. Did you want me to move through my?
Yes, Michael was kind enough to meet with me last week, and I gave him the floor to, talk about what he would like to talk about first. So all of the items under number 4, Michael, you're our lead.
Sure. And I think we'll probably make it through all of this stuff pretty fast from the conversations that I've had with most of you. So first off, I would like the Auburn Public Library to be fine-free. I know I've talked with all of you about it. We're one of the only libraries in the system. I thought it was only 2 or 3, but it's like 6 or 7. There are 6 or 7 libraries within the whole C.W. Morris network that still charge fines out of the dozens and dozens of libraries. And so that's something that I would really like all of your just support behind that initiative. I just have to reach out to C.W. Mars and file some paperwork for that. But
that was one of the public comments on our report wanting, and it seems to be across the board. Absolutely.
It's one of those things where C.W. Mars rolled it out a number of years ago, but even a lot of the area libraries had done it beforehand, and I've never heard any real problems with it. It seems to it just saves staff a ton of time. Most libraries really don't get a lot of money from fines anyways, and it ends up just being like a big headache and time suck for staff. So okay. I think it's something that makes it a little less punitive for patrons and also has the benefit of saving staff some time and headaches too.
Not to out myself, but I
Mary?
Molly's break 50.
Oh no. Yeah, if anybody has anything overdue, just hold on to it for a few more weeks.
Put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, then you can return it and there won't be any. Yeah, we're definitely going to make a big deal out of.
I just have a question. what happens with uh, a book or any item that doesn't come back for weeks and weeks and weeks?
Yeah, so the way that it works in practice, and when we say fine free, it's not totally, it's just largely fine free. There will still be some things like the museum passes or like the library of things, like really, really popular big ticket items that will still have fines, just because otherwise they won't.
Right, right. Good
But to
point.
Matt's point, we will still charge like lost fees. If somebody never brings anything back, they'll get charged for it. And so that's a way to kind of encourage people to eventually bring things back, because they won't have any fines. But if the item is overdue long enough that it becomes a lost item, that will just instantly block their card. So but as soon as they bring it back, the block is cleared and they can go about their business.
Well, we need to or probably have to approve a policy on that, wouldn't we?
Well, I actually didn't see. Well, this kind of leads into my policy questions for later, but I didn't actually see a fine policy in our.
There's none.
So I don't think we need to approve anything. But that being said, I do think we should have a policy going forward. So I can use this as kind of a segue into creating one of those with all of your.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, because we have the collections, policy
Right,
stuff,
yeah.
so we can add that.
Yeah.
I do think the community will be very happy about
Yes.
fine free.
I agree.
Psychologically, it is a nice thing.
It is.
So good.
Very good.
Yeah, so that kind of segues right into updating library policies. This is more just a quick thing. I wanted to kind of give everyone a heads up that I think being a new director, it's a really good opportunity to just kind of go through and update all of the policies and maybe see where we might be missing some policies that we could use, and then with all of your assistance, put that together so that we can create that for the community. A few things that I'm looking for is just like streamlining some of the language. I mean, most of the policies were good in that they were pretty short. I think that's the best thing. If you have policies other than a collection development policy is always very long, so I know that. But all of the others, you want to kind of keep it to like 1 to 3 pages. So just streamlining all of that. A few little things like just taking the old director's name and contact info off and updating that. And I'd also like to write them a little bit in a way to empower staff a little bit more to make those moment-to-moment decisions, to write it into the policy that staff have the power to make decisions when it comes to it in the moment, because a lot of policy stuff is like when you got somebody at the desk and they're asking you a question and you're like, oh, what do I do? So yeah, just very quick, I wanted to let you know, probably next meeting I will have a number of policies for approval. Personnel update. I don't know if any of you saw this, but I've actually already posted 2 positions that we'll be hiring for. A library associate position to fill some of the departed. We're kind of cobbling a few things together to fill one position. And then we will also be hiring a youth services librarian,
Awesome.
which
Yay.
I know folks had asked for a while. We've gotten, I
Yeah.
posted on Friday, we've already got between the 2 positions something like 15 or 20 applications.
Awesome.
So
Nice.
yeah, I think we're going to be very overwhelmed with applicants, which
Excellent.
is a good problem to have.
Yes, it is.
And I am writing, we'll get into this a little bit more in the budget proposal, but I did talk with the town manager to also put into kind of future planning some other positions that we'll be hiring for.
Excellent.
So
Well, it sounds like Michael, like you're moving towards having a full staff at the library.
I hope so, yeah, because we got a great team here, and I don't want to burn anybody out. We definitely need a full team.
Absolutely.
We're glad to hear it.
We are really
Me-
excited to hear it. Awesome. Community survey? Yep.
draft. Can I switch a few things around? Is
Sure.
that okay?
Whatever you like. We have the
We can
floor.
actually jump to, since I just mentioned it, the budget proposal.
Great.
Again, this is just a quick thing. I think everybody's got one of these, the packets that David made should have it in there, but this is just what we propose to the town and what the town has.
Sorry, sorry,
Bless you.
my sorry. Okay.
I don't think there's anything too dramatic, especially given what I've just talked about. I think the big thing is, so we are looking to hire a reference librarian partway through next year.
Great.
They're only approved for 36,000, but that's because we're going to be hiring them probably like a year from now. So yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions about any of the other recommendations. This obviously all still has to go to finance to be approved, but
Surely, but I'm wondering, are there some guidelines, whether it's the size of our library, the volumes, the circulation? What do you use for, we need of this, we need of that?
I mean, at present, it's just kind of been what I feel like we're lacking, and talking to the staff and kind of seeing what people feel we're missing. I mean, as far as the youth services librarian, I think we have such robust youth services
Yes.
at this library, and to not have a dedicated MLS staff member.
Some things are basic.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
I understand that.
So that's a big one. Just get somebody on board to help kind of wrangle all of that stuff. And as far as a reference librarian, again, for a library of this size, that's just pretty standard. You want to have an MLS reference librarian involved. I mean, going forward, I'll probably be basing most of my decisions off of, again, just what I'm hearing from staff, what they feel like we need, but also just similar libraries and their staffing plans.
Great.
Michael?
Yep.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to, somebody's talking, I think.
Nope.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was really happy to see this budget, and I'm really happy to see the attempt to hire additional staff, librarians. Could you send us a copy of the job descriptions of both of those, the
Oh, yeah.
reference librarian and the youth librarian?
Yep. Absolutely.
And I would just say too, usually with the town manager's suggestion and the Board of Selectmen supporting it, I mean, I don't know if they would do that or not, but there's also the possibility at the Finance Committee that the Board of Trustees would also take a position and be able to present at that. That was typically the case. It just hasn't happened the last few years. But I don't know that there'll be any difficulty with this budget, but I'm really happy to see it. So nice going.
Yeah, agree. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I can let you know when we have our scheduled time with the Finance Committee.
I think he's offering some,
Yeah,
vocal support here.
yeah.
When you need
That's-
it.
yeah.
We're behind you, but we'll step up if necessary.
Agree.
Yeah, again,
We'll send Lindsay.
Sorry?
I said we'll send Lindsay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's like, hanging up on me. Something new.
I'm not finished yet, Lindsay, either.
yeah. No, I think given that this was the recommendation of the town manager, I assume it's going to pay. It's more just a question of like if the overall town budget is over or something, there might be some issues, but yeah, I can let all of you know when we have our appointment with the Finance Committee.
Wonderful.
Any other questions about any of that? It's pretty straightforward.
So far? No? Okay.
Okay, so going back then to, actually, I am going to rearrange things a little bit more again too with the I don't specifically have a director's report because this is kind of my
Right,
report.
exactly.
But the expenditures to date, did anybody have any questions about any of the bill, the bill schedule? Bearing in mind that I was not here for a number of these, so I might not be able to answer very, very specific questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's all fairly straightforward.
Mhm.
Well, I see you guys are re-procuring the museum passes.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
cool, and you guys are gonna track utilization to see which ones are.
Yeah, we've got that new system in place, the Assabet system that we're using now. It's the same system that we use to book rooms and things too. It's a very Shrewsbury, when I was there, was like one of their first customers, and it's a very, very simple, straightforward system. It has lots of good tracking and statistical tools built
Great.
in.
Excellent.
So, yeah, we are slightly paring down some of the museum passes. We found a few that were kind of expensive that just weren't, again, going off of the statistics, just weren't circulating. So we can probably better appropriate that money to like materials. And
Yeah.
things.
It's kind of fun going to the website with the museum passes and seeing how simple that was now.
Yes, thank you for that. I noticed that right away, that email that you sent out, that you don't have to come in to reserve them.
I think
but
that
you
was
do it.
Molly actually who
Thank you,
wrote that.
Molly.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, I agree, 100%.
Assabet is good.
Great. So, did you have a question?
Just a quick one, I see a vendor amount at Shrewsbury Public Library.
Oh,
I
which,
had the
do
same
you know what?
question, and then there's some, a couple
Explanation.
lines on the following that are crossed out, and I see it was sort of repeated, so I was curious what
Yeah.
that meant.
No, yeah. What,
It's on page 2.
Yep.
It's the very first,
Very first.
item on page 2. Well, on the,
okay.
I see they're all kind of page 1, page
Yeah,
2.
February 4th.
Sorry.
Shrewsbury Public Library.
Oh, yes, you know what this is? Sorry, actually, this was me. I sent you this bill before I left.
That's great.
Came here and paid it.
Exactly, yeah. I actually, right before I left, I changed the name of who the bill was addressed to myself because I knew I was going to be the one receiving it. This is for the Central Mass Newspaper Consortia subscription.
Okay,
So Shrewsbury pays like the overall amount for, it's like 6 different towns, like us, Shrewsbury, Southborough, Marlborough, Westborough. Actually, Marlborough and Westborough just dropped. Paxton. It's a bunch of different libraries. Shrewsbury pays the overall bill, and then everybody reimburses Shrewsbury.
okay, okay. So that's a reimbursement to
It
Shrewsbury
is,
for that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for a newspaper database.
Okay, neat.
Yeah.
So it's online newspapers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like all the Massachusetts area newspapers.
Neat.
So.
So that would be in addition to the multiple copies that are here in the library.
Correct. Yeah, this is online. This is all digital. So.
I was really surprised to see that we had multiple copies. I figure you take your turn. Somebody wants the TNJ, somebody wants Times. You just take your turn. It'll be available. But no, we have 3 copies.
Yeah, that's neat.
Can you imagine people fighting over the newspaper?
It gets very contentious. Every library I've ever worked at, people walk off with
Wouldn't that be fun?
It's happened at every library.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very strange. Yeah, but yeah. Any other questions?
Any other
about
questions?
Nothing else.
those?
Very good, thank you for that.
Okay, so then I think this last one was kind of going to segue into some of the stuff that Lindsay has to talk about. But did everyone have a chance to look through the the draft of the
Okay.
patron satisfaction survey that I created?
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
So this is a very rough draft, but just I think obviously a lot of change is happening, and before we get too far down the rabbit hole, I was even thinking of this predating strategic plan update. Just I wanted to survey the community and just see what are people interested in, what are they happy with our services, what are they unhappy with, what would they like to see added in. So this was just a draft that I quickly put together. I've had my staff look at it, but I definitely wanted the Board of Trustees to look at it, to weigh in, and I think this probably, before sending this out, I think we probably do want to have a larger talk about the strategic plan and
Great.
kind of how this can factor in. But I would definitely welcome any feedback from anybody about this. It doesn't have to be right now,
Okay.
but
I think this is great.
I know one question that you have here that I'm very interested in is the opinion in the community of our library hours.
yes, yeah.
Like, that's something I'm very interested, I know how I feel, but I'm very interested in other, input, so I think that's a really important question.
Yeah, and jumping back to the staffing and personnel situation that we were talking about, I think the general vibe is that we can do more with our hours, but we need to have the staffing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think if we add those 3 positions, the 2 that we're hiring for now and the reference librarian, the way that I had talked with Molly and David and Dory, the way that we could kind of shift the staff around, I think that would give us the opportunity to be open
Great.
more hours without really overburdening anybody.
I had was the list of the services that could potentially be provided. How did you generate that list? I was just curious.
I just
kind
came
of-
up with whatever I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the type of thing that I would love to get feedback of,
Okay.
like this is just things that either we've had at other libraries that I've worked at or things that I've heard of or popular,
Okay.
Things that I've noticed we didn't have here, that kind of thing. So, but I'm very, very open to feedback or ideas on that.
I know an area that Matt has been an advocate is if we could have even very short surveys when people attend something, if they could give us a feedback about how it was for them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, to decide whether or not that's something you'd want to offer again.
Yep.
Matt, did you want to chime in on that?
You know, I would like to, but on this survey, I was really happy with this. I had 2 areas that I wondered about. One was the conversation that we've had about the library of things. If we could get a list of some of those items to see what kind of interest people have.
Yeah,
Okay.
agree,
Just a few things that we have, but maybe some other options.
agree.
And then the other point was, it looks to me like this would be very helpful information for the next strategic plan process.
Yeah.
Is that what you have in mind too?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I was just putting it together originally just as part of my we're going to be
feedback,
changing. Yeah,
see where
yeah.
we're going.
But then talking with Dory, talking with Mary and folks, I think it does make sense to kind of fold it into the strategic plan. I mean, we could deploy this beforehand. I mean, before we even get started. My thought was actually, David had suggested having printout copies just around the library or
absolutely.
at programs or
Yeah.
things. But a thing that we found very effective in Shrewsbury is you can add images to your checkout receipts. Adding just a QR code to the bottom of the receipt that links directly to this. And then, even if you're only getting a 2%, a 3%
Right.
return,
Right.
that's still however many dozens and hundreds of people are checking things in and out of the library all the time. So just, over the span of a few months, you end up getting a pretty good survey sample.
I just went one, sorry, go ahead.
The other part I was thinking with that, what do we do to try to get information from people who are not users? I think, lists of at least people, town meeting members and things like that. I don't know how many of them would or would not be users, but I mean, that's at least another group of people. And I don't know how else, but maybe through the schools we can get help from, some PTOs, people who may not use the library but might have something to say about it, because they could be helpful to us later when we're talking about some addition or some expansion or anything.
I think if we were going to target a population that is not presently coming to the library, we might want to have a slightly different survey, because the library has undergone a lot of changes and people who haven't come might not be aware of that, and they might answer based on
Past experience.
previous experience, which which wouldn't really be helpful at this point. So we can tailor it. Like the hours convenience question is relevant. What programs do you want to see? That's relevant. But some of that other stuff, we might want to find something else we might query them about. Like, what would bring you back to the library?
Right.
Yeah.
Two is that this is a patron satisfaction. You've come to the library.
Right.
How satisfied were you? And
I agree.
that's wonderful and it's rich
Yeah.
and that's important. But then looking at the questions in the prior strategic plan, a lot more of it was about why haven't you visited? If you've responded no, why haven't you come? Is it because you don't know what services there are? So yeah, I think I agree with you, Vera, that this makes sense to, kick it off as soon as we can, right? Start getting responses, but then probably having a different survey that would go to the general population of saying, I like Matt's idea though of getting at least reaching out to town meeting members, other town committee members. I mean, they're at least civically engaged, and so
Right.
hopefully we would see a higher return, but then the schools is a great idea too.
There is the option too. It's expensive, but this is the most direct way to get to everybody. Is you do like an every door direct mailing.
Yeah, that's what I was
You
thinking
know, as
too.
as a library, you do get discounted rates for shipping
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, and you can do an every door direct without having to jump through the hoops that like businesses and things have to do. But it ends up being kind of expensive.
So would it be like one of those metered, just a card that people fill out and put
Yeah.
back in the mail? I
Yeah,
like that,
something
because
like
that's what I would envision. The only thing I wanted to add is I'm very interested in the specificity of feedback from the public about library hours, like how much of an expansion of Saturdays would be?
Yeah.
Like, what do people want, is what I want to know. And the other piece is, would patrons and community members benefit if we had one later night, say until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? Just that particular thing, I think what I've gotten feedback over the years is a lot of people who have their kids go to school, or they might go to Hebrew school or CCD, and they have different church or community sports commitments, to squeak in here by 7 o'clock sometimes is
Oops.
am I echoing?
A little bit of
Sorry, Chris, whatever you're doing, it's making an echo.
it's feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. I've heard some feedback about needing a little bit, like one later night, and then I know for myself, 3 hours on a Saturday is just too tight,
Yeah.
whether it's a bank or a library, it's just not enough time.
Yeah, I think if we're able to get these three positions on board, I think we can pretty easily expand the Saturday hours without putting any undue burden on any of the staff.
Okay. Anything else?
Because you guys are still popping in the mornings, right?
Yeah.
Matt, did you have anything else?
No, I think that's really a good idea.
I
I'm
agree.
very happy.
So, yeah. So do you have any time frame on when you want our feedback about the draft, or how do you want to move forward with that?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, if you obviously we're hiring now, and also we've been having some meetings about that expansion, which has to. You know what? If you could, in the next 2 weeks, give me any feedback that you could get, I think that would be pretty good.
I wonder if we could do that as a board, and maybe for the next agenda on the March meeting, if you had a draft for us, we could vote on it.
Okay.
Does that work for everyone? So can you send us something out and we can give you feedback within the next few weeks?
Yeah, you mean you?
Like, in other words, do you want to send us a digital copy and we
Yeah,
can?
He did send it to us, and do we need to approve, like, do we need a formal vote on it?
Do we?
Like,
I don't know.
or
Not
like,
really,
I don't think so.
because it's not ours.
Take our feedback,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to send, like, I'll get your feedback and send you another draft so you
Okay.
can
Yeah.
just look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm
Okay, that's right. It was in the embedded document that you sent. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
So,
it's okay.
so what are we thinking? Give me a date so I can remind everybody if I need to. That's my
Do you
job.
want to deploy the survey?
Yeah, I mean, I could do it by the end of this month.
Okay,
Say. So
okay.
if you want to give me, what's today, the 5th? So if by the 17th is a holiday, but if by the 17th
Okay.
I can get your feedback,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Does that work for everyone?
Yep.
Okay, I think that's great. And I agree with Lindsay. You don't need a vote. You just need to, get feedback.
Yeah.
Very good. So that is that. And do we have any other questions for our library director?
Well, I noticed something was snuck in here about the space consultation.
Yes.
And can you talk about that, because I think that's really exciting.
What was that, Lindsay?
Yeah.
I missed that.
No, sorry.
What was that?
Yeah, it's in the paper.
It's in the
Sorry,
paperwork.
I gave it in the paperwork because it only came out the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, so Dory had reached out to, so the Massachusetts library system offers a variety of free consulting services. So she had reached out to them for their space consulting service,
Nice.
which we just did at Shrewsbury too. So,
Great.
Poor Christy was kind of sick the last few weeks, so she only just got us her report. But it has a number of suggestions and ideas for improving the just welcoming, functional nature of the Auburn Public Library.
Neat.
It's a little bit long, so I don't know. I don't know if we have time to go through all of it right now, but definitely take some time to read it.
Okay.
We're actually going on with the meeting that we had with the architects that we're using for the expansion today. We will probably be. I'm going to try to have her come back and offer some more specific suggestions on certain things because I've had some ideas going off of what she already recommended. But yeah, no, she's great. It was a very helpful report. And
Excellent.
Excuse me.
So just because Matt doesn't have a copy, Matt, can I just give you a quick, so basically this, Christy Ferrara, MLS consultant, did a space consultation in December of 2024, and I love this. So it includes, and can you get Matt a copy so we can have it after the meeting?
yeah, and
Great.
I'm happy to send the board. Did I send? No.
You did not send us a digital.
So we will get a digital map, but it covers. I'm just going to run through the headers. Goals, space planning resources. It has overall impressions, resources and recommendations about weeding, collections, about space use and user experience. Let me just go through. And then it has a lot of links so that we can expand and read more. Youth spaces for youth spaces, professional development, and continuing education. So those are the areas that she gave us feedback about.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
We've had for a long time.
He's a little muffled now. I can hear you, but barely. Can people hear Matt?
It's,
Okay.
it's just that it seems to answer a lot of questions that we had for a while.
Yeah. I can't wait to dig into this. So we'll get this after the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Can we put this on to our discussion at our next
Absolutely.
agenda? Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And hopefully I'll have some other things to add to it too if I can get her and Sarah from MLS to come out again.
Michael, you sent us something about IMLS funded research from I think it was University of Kentucky. I think. No, you sent, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
It must have come to us maybe directly.
Okay.
This was a trustee's announcement where.
Oh, yes, I did send that. You're right.
Yeah, they're asking to participate. And I did that today, and it's a very short and probably very important kind of survey to respond to about being a library trustee and what are some of the important things.
I do have a tendency to forward things on to people and then immediately forget about it. So it got where it needed to go. So
did you get it to all of us?
I think so.
Okay, very good. So again, I haven't been in my email recently, but okay, great. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item 6. Lindsay, this is your lead, so take it on. Run with it.
Yeah, so I had circulated, a couple of attachments. I mean, the basics, right? Just the existing strategic plan, which is available to everybody on the website. And within that, I pulled out the vision and mission statement and thought we could spend a minute looking at that as a board. It does seem to be the kind of kickoff to this conversation about looking ahead to our strategic plan, but also to looking back. So the first point I wanted to just put out for discussion is a while ago we had talked about and developed some reporting prompts to consider how we might elicit the type of report and information we'd like to see about progress made on the strategic plan. And so I was thinking if we could start there. I didn't print this out for everybody, but it was circulated via email. And give me a second, I'll open them and then we can talk through them. But I guess for you, Mike, I think it's really a question for partnering with you to kind of fill out this report, think about how we want to articulate this back to the community and sort of take what was all this feedback, right, with this whole booklet of public comment and responses and try to highlight where we made actual progress.
Sure.
Agree.
I don't know if that's something that other libraries regularly have done as they close. I think I'm new to this whole thing, so I don't know if you have any thoughts or suggestions about how to move that forward.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other times if I've seen like a strategic plan report.
You said Webster and Shrewsbury.
I sent those are their new
Yeah.
strategic plans as examples for our next discussion of just like what they did. And I think in those there's an embedment of an introduction that's very brief about key progress that was made. I think the challenge that the board has felt over the last few years is that there's been a lack of any real or kind of concise tactile reporting about progress made. And since it's the final year, can we come up with something that's not overkill, it's not a ton of work, but that still gives exactly, that celebrates the achievements in what was a very hard 5-year period.
So what, given the fact that I've only been here for now 3.5 weeks, I'm uniquely unqualified to speak to any of those points, what do you think would be the best way for? I mean, I'm happy to tap some of my staff to get feedback, or or the friends or anybody else who's been involved.
If I may, and I'm so sorry.
No,
I got was actually having staff respond to this questionnaire would be fantastic,
Yeah,
because they have
I
been
agree.
through the whole thing. A tremendous progress has actually been made in the last couple of months, right?
In September.
Yeah, because initially we drafted this because we had no idea if any progress had been made, and if we were going to need a whole new strategic plan, or if there was just so much left undone that we were going to need to move it along.
Agreed.
Seeing as to how there seems to have been this rapid fire progress, which has been fantastic, I think a lot of the items on that list have been knocked off, but I see we're at 3 weeks. You might not be the best person.
No pressure. Yeah, and I think it's just something that would be really useful to see by the end of this year. So just something to reflect, and even if it's just a couple pages and a couple tables or something. But that was sort of how we were framing up the questions of you just kind of break down how our programs are offered and into what categories of children, teens, where's the weighting. Looking at can we just see a proper org chart, and some of these things around just trying to put a little more color behind what we were hoping to get reporting on. So
I've actually before coming to the meeting, I did go through and kind of list out some of the stuff that we've started working on since I started. So
Right.
Yeah. So just
or Mary, what I'd like to do is, first of all, I'd like to recommend that we vote Lindsay in as the whether you call her the coordinator for the strategic plan for 25-30, or whatever, or
the lead.
the lead person. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
I like the word coordinator because somebody has to be able to have that. And I think the difference between the strategic plan in the future and in the past is, in the future, the library director, I'm sure, will be very involved in the strategic plan. I read the one from Shrewsbury and Webster. Shrewsbury had the benefit of having the very good consultant that we used with Barbara.
Yep.
Which was excellent. I was glad to see that.
Agreed.
But I saw so much participation and actually direction from the library director. And, maybe even a more limited role of the trustee than we might want to have. But I think it would be really important to have somebody. Lindsay, some of the work that you and that subcommittee did on the prompts, those were really, really, really good questions. I'm almost at the point where the past is the past on that,
right.
And I don't know how much effort should go into that as much as how much effort should go into the future. So I don't know if that's for everybody to decide.
Okay.
But I'd like to nominate Lindsay to have that role for the next strategic plan. From the work that she's already done, I mean, that's been extremely helpful.
I agree.
Would that be something that would be interesting to you? Would that be overwhelming?
Based on the last like 3 meetings, I thought you guys had already ushered me into it. So
It formalizes it, Lindsay.
that was one of the points I wanted to make sure we clarified and got into the minutes is what is the right membership for a committee around this. And obviously Mike is top of that list, but then, from the board, is it a couple of us, keep it kind of agile, and then do we need staff and community representation? I would think so.
I would hope so. I would hope so, yeah.
I mean, if I could throw my 2 cents out there.
Go for it.
If you and I could kind of be co-chairs of that subcommittee, that would be excellent.
That would be optimal. Wonderful.
Yeah, we could work together on that. But in my experience at Shrewsbury, that's typically what would happen. There would be people pulled in from just regular community members. There would be some staff members involved as well. There's a lot. We did focus groups and things there, and so
We tried.
Yeah, we did.
During the pandemic, we didn't have much access.
Yeah.
it's a little tricky.
And I think just looking ahead, then that was another question I had was around just thinking about timeline, because we kicked off this last one quite a lot sooner than we have left ahead of this next one. And in what I was reading, it's okay that we, if we need a little longer, unless we are actively pursuing a certain category of grant through the MBLC. So that was a point just for maybe follow up outside of this of how limited would we be? Are we thinking about going for any of those? If so, can we formally submit for an extension? They had some stuff on there about it. So
and I can certainly talk to my sources on MBLC and all else about that. But I suspect, just given some of the groundwork that we have and the fact that we haven't necessarily hit a lot of these bullet points, it won't be quite as time-consuming this time around because we've already got some of the groundwork laid. So
the benefit of the question lets us know if there are any areas where no progress was made, right? But we still want to achieve those ends, and then we can just carry that forward.
Mary, you want to call for a second on that motion?
Are you okay with that?
I am, yeah.
Because I want to make sure that she's on board. Yes, I second the motion for Lindsay to be a co-chair to this next strategic plan.
Can we have a vote if we didn't put on that agenda that there would be a vote?
Let me see, review.
Because
possible vote is what we write. And that's the approval of the minutes.
we're going to have to table
it and
Lindsay's
officially
vote
put
till
it
next
on
meeting.
for the next meeting. That's okay.
So Matt, I agree with you, but we'll table it for the technicality that we have.
Not worth taking a risk, but I don't think it's a big risk, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with that, but I tell you, Michael, more than just that, your participation in this is really going to make, I think we can have a much better strategic plan. And my heart and soul was in that last one, but I can say that I really do believe that it can even be much better with what you're doing and how the staff would be involved in that. I think it's wonderful.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you, Matt.
Can we reach out to the consultant and find out what sort of timeframes are possible?
Yeah, like is there a truncated version of this based on the fact that we haven't made as much progress as hoped, and so some of that's going to roll forward, and I assume you have that. This is where I'm never sure. I'm like, do I just email this person, or is this something
Barbara
that
Elveris from Stage.
yeah, I can. Well, do you have her contact info? Because I don't personally have it.
I
can find
went
it.
down like a deep rabbit hole online, and I did find some sort of database where I believe there's an email. I can forward that to you.
Yeah, I mean, since we use it in Shrewsbury, I can reach out to my old director
Excellent.
and just get it from her.
Yeah, Barbara Elveris was the consultant from Sage.
I have anything that you're looking for, I can probably find. I kept everything.
Okay.
And I kept it, in digital form too, so
Great.
that if you're looking for something, I'll
Matt had a
Just
lot of contact.
email me and I'll try to
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, so you can forward that to our co-chairs, right?
Sure.
Excellent, that'd be awesome.
Am I still part of your committee or no?
Well, yeah, so this is the other piece.
To be
We need
determined.
Yeah, to be determined. Yeah. Well, we can nominate Mira for the committee and then have that be on the vote for next time. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And is that sufficient representation, do we feel, from the board? Do we want one more person
For a
on that
start,
for a
just get-
start,
just
just
to
to
get
keep it
started.
agile, right?
Yeah,
And then how would you approach, Mike, like, at what time including library staff, and then also how do we reach out to community to figure out?
I mean, I can just talk to my staff and see
Okay,
who
yes.
would be interested. And I mean, I think that's the easiest way is just say, hey, who wants to
Yeah.
do this? And we could certainly reach out to the friends
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Their
That would be great.
Representatives are here, I think they'd be excellent people to have on board.
I agree.
Excellent.
I'd be very happy to participate in that committee in any way I could, from past history stuff, that's all. In whatever way that I could help find, but I wouldn't want to interfere with anything.
Right. And I will always offer my support in all the committees, but I want to make sure that the makeup of the committee is appropriate, so I'll defer to you both.
Sure.
All right, so with that in mind, then I will feel empowered to reach out to you, Mike, directly, and we
Yes.
can maybe get a little
Yes.
organized by email and bring that back to the next meeting.
Great.
In our unofficial capacities, and next time we'll vote, and then we'll be above board. Okay. I think those were the big questions that I had for this meeting. So
Excellent.
we're well on our way.
Yes, we are. I'm really excited about this. So, so what next steps? What I heard from the board is for the next agenda, we want to make sure that we go through the space consolidation within, you said by the 17th, if we could get feedback on your survey. Any other things that need to be synthesized before we move to close?
No, just making sure that we have that vote logged as we're going to take it.
Okay.
And and I have a standing agenda for strategic plan.
Okay, great.
Mary, I would just like to comment on some of the communications from the library.
Yes,
There's this thing that seems warm, welcoming
Yeah.
about a lot of the new emails that are being sent out to the community about what's happening at the library.
Mhm.
And it's really, really good to see. And I would guess both staff as well as Mike have a lot to do with that.
and I want to just add that Michael was really very responsive. We met last week and I was doing some of my coursework in the back of the library, and within the time that I left his meeting and sat down, I don't think I opened my Chromebook before the email went out to communicate to the board. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you that I've been in here 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks, and it's vibrant in here. The collections are, the bookshelves are filled. There's a lot of people in here last night and today. It's just very lively. And as you said, you used the word warm. I would say warm, but I would say one of the goals that the language that we used in our strategic plan was we wanted this library to be the hub, like the hub, the bustling hub of the community. And I see evidence of that, Matt. So thank you for that. And thank you to your staff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it predates me. A lot of the collection development stuff was even before I showed up. So yeah, all the credit goes to them and to Dory. It's the interim.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Molly.
And I just want to add to that with regard to the warm emails and what have you. I have literally never seen the parking lot this full on Wednesday night.
Agree.
So it is amazing. Obviously, you are drawing people here that were not coming before at this time.
Right.
Because I'm almost surprised to not see a program, given how many cards are out there they're doing it, right?
Yeah. But I think the energy is positive. So we appreciate it. And we know that you're part of, the lead of the team, but we just appreciate it so much.
And shout out
And a shout out to the team,
What-
absolutely.
I think this business with the movies is really incredible. That's
That's the last question. I'm so glad you brought it up because I saw the emails. How is the attendance of the movies?
It's been okay
Okay.
for some of them. Yeah, I mean, this kind of thing always takes a little while to build up some steam. We're going to do a kids movie marathon
Good.
on during February vacation.
Excellent.
David is
Excellent.
very excited about that. He's putting that together. So, um, yeah, it always takes a little while for the stuff to build up steam, but there seemed to be, especially for the silent movie, I know people were very receptive to that.
Cool. And you had The Princess Bride, which anybody that was
Yeah.
grew up in the 90s, that was like the movie, right?
Yeah, I don't know I haven't talked to David about the attendance at that one
Yeah.
yet, but
I was waiting for somebody to play the piano for the silent movie.
That's so funny. That's true.
Well, I don't know, we don't have a piano anymore. That got thrown out. But maybe we can bring one back in when we can get a small musical group to come in and do some things too sometime. That'll be nice.
Good idea. I agree.
we are gonna have a small concert during the February vacation too. I got somebody that I've worked with at Shrewsbury who's music here.
Wow.
Great.
Exciting.
Very
That's
good. All right, so just to clarify, our next meeting is scheduled here in the Merriam Room on Wednesday, March 5th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
That's-
adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Excellent. So thank you all. We're ending the meeting at exactly 6:50 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.